Today we're visiting the home garden of Robyn Stroup in Tulsa. Robyn, you have a very beautiful landscape. Tell
Thank
me,
you.
Oh, you're welcome. Tell me a bit about kind of what your goal was here.
When I moved into this house and this yard 5 years ago, it was boring. There was nothing back here except this crepe myrtle tree, and I don't like boring, so I just started digging and planting, and whatever struck my fancy, I planted it, and then it's evolved now to the little urban farm.
And you have a pretty small space, but a lot of food production here, and it's really impressive to see how much you've worked into your garden. You have a number of these raised beds, and I liked your sort of independent philosophy. I could build it myself. Tell us how these are made.
Well, my mom brought me up that way. You got to be able to take care of yourself. I ordered the corners from a supply catalog. I used composite lumber. All of this I could assemble myself, and I can disassemble if I needed to.
And why'd you go with the raised bed instead of planting in the ground?
I used the raised beds because I could control the quality of soil. I could acquire my garden soil to put in here, and also it helps slow down the bunny rabbits from getting in, and then I have the fence barrier to keep my dogs out.
Okay. You've included some framing in here with the PVC. What are you using that for?
I can use this to support either shade cloth or netting to prevent birds from getting my vegetables, or I can use plastic to extend my growing season, so they're quite versatile.
Yeah. And what I like here, you also have a number of sort of different growing techniques you've been experimenting with. Tell me about the potatoes in the mesh cages.
I saw that online, and I've heard other people rave about growing the potatoes in a mesh cage so that they're above ground rather than below ground. You throw in your seed potatoes on top of a layer of straw, and then you just keep adding mulch, straw, soil, and we'll see what happens. This is my first year to try that.
Excellent. Harvest is coming soon.
Yes.
So. And then the container gardens, I've heard a bit about these buckets.
They go by several names, earth buckets, global buckets. This was this year's experiment also.
Yes.
There's a wicking system. There's
two buckets in one.
Two buckets in one, a hole cut in the bottom with a plastic cup with slats in it. And set this down, let it go. You water through this PVC pipe, it fills the bottom reservoir and then wicks up through the cup.
So you always have a good supply of moisture.
Yeah, I don't have to water every day, and that makes it nice, and it's a small container. People could utilize these on patios or small spaces. It's ideal for peppers, possibly tomatoes, anything that grows above ground. You wouldn't want to grow potatoes in here.
Right, too confining. I didn't mention you teach college at Tulsa Community College, right?
Yes, I teach a variety of biology courses there.
I think that explains why you like to experiment a little bit.
Everything's an experiment. Everything's an adventure, one or the other. Same thing.
You also have a number of perennial crops, which I love to see. The strawberries, and back here, asparagus. Not a lot of people grow asparagus. Tell me what your experience has been.
Well, it's been interesting. I didn't know what I was doing. I bought it the first year. I bought the little first year plugs or roots, put it in the ground and ignored it. It's, to my surprise, survived because I didn't pay any attention to it. And that's been 3 years. This year, the third year, was my first year to harvest. And it was outstanding. It was worth the wait.
It is. It's so different eating asparagus right out of the garden.
Oh my goodness. Most of it did not make it to the house. You ate it on the way. It was so good.
Well, that's good to hear. You also have chickens in your landscape. Tell me about that.
The chickens have been a lifelong desire. I don't know why. It's either genetic or because I had a good experience as a child at my grandparents' home. I don't know. But I've always wanted chickens, and now I've got them. Backyard chickens are the thing right now, okay?
Are they easy to care for, or are there a lot of challenges?
Oh my goodness, they're extremely easy to care for. I get that question all the time. It's just a few minutes every day. I make sure they have fresh water and that their feed container's full. That's it. I clean out the coop several times a year. That's it. I use what I clean out for mulch, or I compost it.
Perfect.
That's all there is to it. I don't have major concerns with the chickens.
And I know another thing people say is they smell or they're noisy.
That's the first thing I ask people when they come in here is take a big sniff. Tell me, do you smell anything?
I don't.
So I'm afraid that I would be used to it and miss it. I don't want them to smell. I've never had anybody complain.
What about regulations with the city? Do you know?
I investigated with our city ordinances, because every city has its ordinances about keeping livestock and or poultry, and I do meet our city ordinances. I checked into that before I built the coop.
Yeah, and you mentioned to me earlier there's a lot of resources online, and it's
Oh my
very
goodness.
easy to get into.
Very, very easy to get into. Lots of resources online, that's for sure, and then there's a lot of local people that have backyard chickens, and everybody wants to help everybody out.
Well, Robyn, in addition to the vegetables, you also have a number of herbs and fruits in the garden, and I noticed all the flowers, the nectar plants.
Yes, I'm going to become a beekeeper. I'm going to be acquiring bees here very soon, and I want to provide as much flowers for nectar and pollen for them as possible.
Okay. And is that just another kind of experiment for you, or?
I just have to keep learning. It's a new challenge, something to learn about, and it's been absolutely fascinating.
Excellent. In addition to the bees, you have some gardens where you're growing
I have a
nectar-rich
specific
plants.
butterfly area which will also serve for the bees. Yes.
Well, Robyn, you're a master gardener here in Tulsa County, and I really hope you'll be able to share what you've learned in your own landscape with other gardeners.
Yes, I love showing my yard to anyone that's interested. And recently my yard has been on a garden tour that's a fundraiser for master gardeners every year. And I like people to see what can be done in a little small urban backyard.
Well, you've certainly done a lot, and thank you for sharing with us.
Well, thank you very much.